On Friday, Erev Shabbos, we went through the Seder Avodah that the buyer brought down according to Abba Shol. He mentioned Abba Shol, the Machlokes, and the Rabbanan Abba Shol, exactly what took place between the burning of the Batava of the Neiros, 5 and 2, right? What did they do in between? According to Abba Shol, they did the Zrika of the Dam, and then they did after the 2. That's when they burnt the Ketairis. And according to the Chachamim, they burnt the Ketairis between the 5 and the 2. That was the machlokes between the 2. And now we're up to Lamed Dalit Amid Aleph. In the middle of the daf, it tells us that the Ketairis Shel Shachar was brought being Dam Le'ivarim. The Ketairis Shachar is born between Dam Le'ivarim, and neither one is according to the Chachamim or Rabbi Shol. Says the Gemara Mani, who's the Tana of our Mishnah? Rabbanon. If it's the Rabbanon, they said the Ketairis is being between the 5 and the 2 of the Neiros. Being Dam and Neiros. You should say between the Dam and the Neiros. Abba Shol, and it's according to Abba Shol, being Neiros le'ivarim miboyle. You see between after you finish the Neiros and the Ivarim. That's what it should say. So the Gemara answers, Lo'ilum Rabbanon, Lo'ilum Mitzvah Rabbanon, U'besidu loy kamari. We're not giving the order, just telling you what happened, but not necessarily to give the order. The Ben Abayim hoysa kreva ben Eivarim and Nesachim, Minani Mili. Where do you know that what the Ketairis of Ben Abayim came before the Nesachim, and that was the Ben Abayim. And in the afternoon, there's a difference between the Nesachim and the Ketairis in the Ben Abayim was brought between the Eivarim and Nesachim, and in the morning it was brought earlier. Minani Mili, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Damakro, it says, Kiminchas haboiker ucheniskoi taaseh. There's a chaf like the minchas haboiker, right? Like the niskoi you should do, and ma minchas haboiker, just like the minchas haboiker in the morning, Ketairis kaidemus nesachim. The Ketairis preceded the nesachim. Afkan Ketairis kaidemus nesachim. So too in the evening, the Ketairis came before the nesachim. So you want to know why that order? Because of the connection between Ketairis and boiker. If you're going to say Yimala Halam by the Talmud of the Shachar, Ketairis Kaidemis le'Eivarim, not only did it came before the Nesachim, but it came before the Eivarim as well. So Afkan, so too in the afternoon, why don't you say Ketairis Kaidemis le'Eivarim? So in other words, once you're going ahead and saying the exact sushtel between the Mincha of the afternoon to Mincha in the morning. In the morning, the Ketairis preceded not only the Nesachim, it preceded the Eivarim. So in the afternoon, why is the Ketairis after the Eivarim? It should precede the Eivarim. So in the Akamarian says, Kiminchas haboiker ksiv, Kiminchas haboiker v'loi ke'eivari haboiker. Like the Minchas Nesachim in the morning, but not like Eivari haboiker. In other words, it's not saying the exact same halachas would apply, the exact same hierarchy of things to happen. It's just comparing it to the Nesachim. Just like Nesachim is the Ketairis is for the Nesachim, so too what is before the Nesachim. But in the Eivarim, they're not in the afternoon, it's after the Eivarim. In the afternoon, it's what? It's after the Eivarim. Miksiv Keivari Habakar, Kiminchas Habakar Ksiv. Kiminchas Habakar, V'loi Kiminchas Habakar, V'loi Keivari Habakar. Okay, now we're going to see something to do with the Nesachim. I'd like to go through the You can see it? Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, great. Yeah. Let's read this. One keves you should make in the morning. And a second sheep should be bought in the afternoon. A tenth of an ephah of soilus for mincha, belula b'shemen mixed with oil, kasis v'uvias hahin, kasis crushed, a fourth of a hin of oil. Okay, so this is what's known as the minchas nesachim. Oilas tamida hasuya b'har Sinai l'reich nichoichi shel Hashem. Now, for niskoi, that was speaking about the oil, and that was speaking about the flour. V'niskoi, what is speaking about the wine now? V'niskoi revias hahin, and it's nesech, it's wine revias hahin, la keves echad, ba'kodesh haseich nesech shechel Hashem. Question: when it says over here that it's Revius Hahin for a keves. Is it going back on the one in the morning, or is it going on the afternoon? What's it going on? Is it going in the morning, or is it going on the afternoon? That's the question. So, in one way, if you go according to order, it appears that it would be going on the afternoon. Why? You mentioned the keves baiker first, then you mentioned the keves in the afternoon, and you're continuing. Vinisko, and it's nesech. Which nesech? The one you just spoke about, which is the bein arbayim. So the bein arbayim, its nesech should be in the afternoon. Excuse me, the nesech is going on the afternoon carbon, and therefore, what I'm going to learn out the morning from the afternoon, just like the morning, just like the afternoon. It's a quarter of a hin of wine. So to the morning is a quarter of hin of wine. That would be the pashit pshat according to the way it flows. You're speaking about the afternoon, and Vinisko is going back on this. Rabbi says no. Rabbi says it's going back on the morning. Rabbi says it's going back on the morning. How do you know it's going back in the morning? V'niskar revi'as ahin la keves ha'echad es ha-keves echad. So the keves that it said echad by, which is the keves echad. So you're going to learn out the afternoon from the morning. So pashtus, there's no chilik in halacha. We'll see. I'll tell you the chilik soon. But pashtus, what are you learning from what? Are you learning the morning from the afternoon, or you're learning the afternoon from the morning? And now you're well prepared to go through the Gemara. That's the limud we're going to see, and you're going to see, and we'll bring you an afkamida in halacha. Says the Gemara, Tan Rabbanan, v'niskoi revius hahin, and its nesech should be a quarter of a hin. Yilmait shel shachas mishal arvis, and we're going to learn out the mincha of the afternoon of the morning from the mincha in the afternoon. So obviously, this sheet is holding that the niskoy reviyasahin is going on the afternoon, and you're learning the morning from the afternoon. Amid Beis, Rabbi Omer, Rabbi says, Arvis, Mishal Shachris. We're learning out the afternoon from the morning. Okay? Now, how does that work? Bishlema l'rabanan, haibit tamid shel ben abayim kasiv. Bishlema, the niskoy is going on the tamid shel ben abayim. As we said, guys, right? We said clearly, if the screen shows us, it's going back on this. The last thing we were speaking about was the Akeres Hasheni Tasa Ben Abayim. On that, continuing along, Asiris Eifa Oilas Tamid V'Niskay, and its Nesech, its libation. Which libation? That of the carbon sheni. In other words, Pashit, it is going on the second. That's Pashit Pshat. Back in the Gemara, Ela Rebbe, my taima, Rebbe, why do you say you're going to learn the morning from the afternoon from the morning? How do you see this is going on the morning? So what's the answer? Amar Barula Amakra La Keves Echad Eza Keves Shnem Vayechad Haviyar Zeh Tamid Shel Shacha. V'niskar V'yasahin La Keves Echad, which is the Keves that it says the word Echad by. Let's look up in Pasuk Daled, guys. Es HaKeves Echad Taseh Ba Boiker. The Echad is going on the Boiker. So therefore, very geschmack. Both the carbon tamid in the afternoon and both the carbon tamid shel shachris, they both require for a sheep a quarter of a hin. Question: which way do you go? Now you'll ask, right? You'll ask, what's it going? I mean, my nafkamin and halacha. If they're both a quarter, what difference does it make? So listen to this Taisus Arash, guys. Look at the screen. What does it say? V'niskay revi'as ahin lakeves echad b'kodesh haseich nesech sheichel Hashem. Haseich nesech. We're speaking about two nesachim, nisach hayayin and nisach hamayim. Nisach hayayin v'nisach hamayim. Two nesachim. So, if you're going to learn out, if the pasuk, at second pasuk, is speaking about the carbon of the Ben Abayim, then the Nesach Hamayim is going to go in the afternoon, not the morning. But if it's speaking about what? The morning, then the Nisach Hamayim will be in the morning. So it's tremendous nafkamina regarding the Nisach Hamayim. It's a double Nesach, right? There's two libations. There's libation of wine, which is Pashit, and then there's the undercard of what? Nisa Hamayim. If you're going to learn that pasuk with Niskoy is going on Nisa Hamayim, going on the afternoon, then Nisa Hamayim would have to be in the afternoon. That's not like we saw. We paskin the other way. We said, how do you have 10? Sometimes it's born with 9, sometimes it's born with 10, right? So you bring 9 is what with the regular carbon, and 10 would be on the Chag. During the Chag, you bring Nisa Hamayim. So you see a riots in the morning. So this does not go according to what that the Chachamim would not go according to the Shita. But that would be a nafkamina halacha like the Tosfos Harash between the Shitas Rebbe and the Shitas Chachamim. Like Rebbe who says you learn it's going on what? On the morning. So very geshmak. Nesach seich nesach nesach shecha. I'm saying the wrong thing. I keep on saying the wrong thing. Hasach haseich nesach. So it's going on Nisa Hamayim and Nisa Hayayin. The pasuk speaking in the morning, so you do Nisa Hamayim in the morning. But like the Chacham, you do it in the afternoon. That would be the difference in halacha. Very geshmak achilik, right, guys? Geshmak achilik that it doesn't speak out. Okay, very, very geshmak. Okay. Now, v'rabbanon my echad, like the rabbanon fellas. What do you do with echad? Like Bishlema, like Rabbi, the echad teaches me the korban echad, meaning the morning. But the chacham that says it's going on the afternoon, what does it do with the echad? Says the Gemara, miyuchid shebe edroi. You have to get the echad that not enough just to use the korban without a mum. You have to bring the choicest sheep, not just be with a nice sheep, the best sheep, miyuchid shebe edroi, the miyuchid of the flock. But Rabbi, where does Rabbi know that from? Since he uses it from echad to teach me it's going back on the morning. Where does he know the miyuchid from? So he uses from the pasuk. The pasuk says in the Varim, your base, it says the chol mivchar nidrechem, mivchar nidrecha, from the choices of your neder. So it's mivchar uses that word. And nafka rabbanon chab b'chayva chab b'nedava. One is speaking about what the nedava. One is speaking about a chayva b'tzricha. Rashi says, why would you have to tell me one by chayva, one by nedava? So look at Rashi. B'tzricha yesh sad noita. There's a side to be inclined to say shanedava tzarich li'afrusa. But only by the nedava do you have to go ahead and bring the choices. Kadesh tisratze the dairon that should be accepted as a present. The hiskablas ponim. Yesh sad noita loymer she'achayva amutel is tzarich lefayim. One that's a chayv that's on you, that you have to pay chayv mishalem, you have to pay from something that is whole. Okay, either way. So the bottom line is we have a source for nesach for both karbanis, which one is which, and the nafkamina would be nisach hamayim. We said they would heat water up and throw the water in. So pashit, it seems that they would take hot water and throw it into to cool it off. Okay, the Gemara now suggests something else. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda, Ashishay Shel Barzel, they had bars of iron, Hayu Mechamim, they would heat up, Erev Yom Kippur, from Erev Yom Kippur, and then in the morning when he had to go to the mikvah, Umatilin L'Tzoich Soinin, and they throw it into the cold mikvah to heat it up. Kadesh Tafik Tzinasan, in order to go ahead and take away the coolness. So we go ahead and put these bars in. Okay, very nice. But be aware there's a machlokes between Talmud Bavli and Yerushalmi, which is the preferred method. Based upon the Bavli, it seems to be the preferred method is to use hot water. Based upon Yerushalmi, this ashishas, the bar, seems to be the preferred method. Okay, now the Gemara has a problem. We know Yom Kippur and Shabbos have the same halacha. Ein bein Shabbos to Yom Kippur, the only chiluk would be the chi of kares or chi of misa b'dei shemayim. That would be the chiluk between the two. So question, are you allowed to take a boiling hot piece of iron and put it in water? And the answer, of course, is not, because that's called tikkun mono. That's called tikkun kli, where you're going ahead and you're completing what? An object, right? There's the smith, when he goes ahead and makes the kli, the last thing he does, he takes it and puts it in water, and the water with the hot metal solidifies it. So l'chayr, we have a problem. Fred the Gemara, how can you take those boiling hot bars and throw them in a mikvah? you'll be mitzarif the bars and Yom Kippur. You're not allowed to do that. That would be tikkun mana. That would be a told of makav patish. So Amar Bibi Shleigil Siruf. We're speaking about they're not hot. They're hot enough to go ahead and take the edge off the water, but not so boiling hot like red. It wouldn't be red iron that it would count. That by putting in water you would harden it. Right? So it's kind of middle stage. So that would be one eitzah for doing it. And Abaye gives a lomdish teretz. Afilu temer shegil at siruf. It can even be speaking where it got to the point where it is really red hot, and if you're going to put it in the water, it is going to harden. But nonetheless, davashem miskavin muta. A davashem miskavin would be muta. His kavana, we know, by Hilchos Shabbos, is to go ahead and, like, if a person goes ahead and wants to transport a bench from one row to the other row, and he makes furrows, it's machlokes of Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda. Like Rabbi Shimon, it's muta, and Rabbi Yehuda, it's asa, right? Like Rabbi Yehuda, it's asa. So that's called davashem miskavin. I'm not miskavin for something, right? I'm not miskavin for something. So now, over here, I'm not mechavim to harden. I just want the water to get cooled off. I want the water to get hot. So that's davashem miskavin. Now, there is halacha, guys, in davashem miskavin, right? That's muta is dafke if it's not a psik resha. Moider Rav Shimon psik resha. Literally, if you cut off the head, right? Psik resha v'layamus. If you cut off the head of the chicken, won't it die? So in other words, by the case of the bench, it has to be that you could pick up the bench also. So it's not a psik resha that it's going to go ahead and make the furrows. So who did over here? It's possible that you could take out the iron, says the Ritva, before it hardens. Yehuda would ask me that question if it wasn't so tired. That's one question he always asks me about psik resha. It's one of his questions. So therefore, over here, the Ritva is speaking where since the possibility exists to remove it before it hardens, therefore it's a davashem miskavin and not a psik resha. So therefore, two terutzim. One, it wasn't at the point where it's hot enough. It's hot enough to be possibility of hardening, and they won't have a problem of makav patish. Two, even if it is, and it even does harden, it's muta, because davashem miskavin is muta. The problem is Abaye holds davashem miskavin is asa. Could Abaye possibly give this teretz that's a davashem miskavin and then be muta? But Tanya, it says ubayoy mashmini yimol besarlo alasai, and on the 8th day you should go ahead and cut off the arla. I feel b'Shabbos. I feel b'makom sham beheres yikos. Now there's halacha, guys. Hishama benegat tzaras. Hishama, there's an issa to go ahead and cut off a tzaras. So let's say the child had a tzaras on his arla, right? And by cutting it off, you're being over an issa. Says that just like by Shabbos, who adin, if there's a beheres on the arla, you can go ahead and cut it off. There, Rabbi Yeshia. Yes, why do you need a pasuk? And for the Gemara, why? Because since you're not miskaven to cut off the beheres, you're miskaven to go ahead and mal the child. So good. Even why do you need a pasuk for? Davashem miskaven's muta. And for the Abaye, like Rabbi Yehuda, davashem miskaven's asa. So when Abaye answers like Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara says that Abaye holds like Rabbi Yehuda. So questions the Gemara. If Abaye holds davashem miskaven is asa, how can he possibly give the answer that sirif where it's boiling hot and you're putting in the water and it's going to harden? I lechayre davashem miskaven is asa. And even though I was not miskaven for the hardening, I was only miskaven to go ahead and heat the water of the mikvah. It still should be asa. So how could Abaye give that teretz? And for the Gemara, Hani Mili B'Chola Toira Kula. When is davashem miskaven asa? That's by deraisa. Aval hachat sirif the rabbanon. Over here, this hardening is only in the rabbanon. This makav patish would be, guys, if this was a horseshoe, if this was a sword, since it's not a normal kli that would require to go ahead a kli, and this is the final state in making the kli, then it's a din deraisa. Mashenkin, a piece of iron bar that you're throwing in the mikvah to heat, it's not a kli, it doesn't have a shem kli. Since it's not a purpose of the kli of hardening it, it's only the rabbanon. Since it's only the rabbanon, we don't hold davashem miskaven, and the mad is asa. I would hold it would be mutter. Says the Mishnah. We just finished the Kayin went and he did the avodah that is done every single day. He went into the mikveh that was in Shara Mayim. he didn't do Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim, but when he went in, he took off his big day chayil, he put on his big day kodesh, and he did Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim, and then he went and did the avodah of the day. He bought the Talmud, he bought the Ketairis, he bought all the avodah of the day in the big day Zahav. We're now discussing when he's going to begin the avodah that's unique to Yom Kippur in the big day Lavan, of linen. But this, it says, Rachas Espesore b'Machim Kadosh. Over here, we saw that he has to go ahead and Rachas Espesore b'Machim Kadosh. It has to be the mikvah in the Kodesh. And this was the mikvah that was on the Beis HaParva. This was the mikvah that was on the Beis HaParva. Okay, so Evilu Beis HaParva will be Kodesh Chayisa. He brought it to the Beis HaParva and it was located in the Kodesh. Pasu Sodin Shel Butz Veinoy Leveina Am. He would go ahead and they would spread a sheet of linen between him and the people in order to, that he'd be sneerstic. He's getting totally undressed. And there's a lot of people there. Kiddush Yoda V'Raglov, and he would go ahead and be Magdash Yoda V'Raglov, Upashat, and take off his clothing. And this is the sheet of the Chachamim, that you did Kiddush before you took off the clothing. But Meir Omer, again, we met these machloikas in Lamed Aleph. But Meir Omer Pashat, first he took off his clothing, then Kiddush Yoda V'Raglov. As we said over there, fellas, that Meir requires a Kiddush only on the Levisha. He requires it only on the Levisha. One before you get dressed, and one after you get dressed. Whereas the Chacham say no. One Kiddush is for the Pshita, taking off the clothing, and the second Kiddush is going on the Levisha. That was the machloikas between Rameya and the Chachamim. So Rameya says, Pashat, first he would get undressed, and then Kiddush Yoda V'Raglov. Yarad, he would go down to Tavel, he'd go to the mikvah, Oila, he would get up, Vinistapig, and he would go ahead and dry himself off. And Yankel told us that he has to dry himself off because Yechayish, that maybe the water with some schmutz will be a chatzitza, so we get rid of that. Hey, via big day Lavan. They would bring him the big day Lavan, Lavash, he'd wear it, they'd put it on, the Kiddush Yoda V'Raglov. So here we have Rameya agreeing with the Chachamim that the Kiddush transpires after he gets dressed. Now, the Mishnah is going to describe this big day Lavan. B'shachar in the morning, Hayu loivesh pelusin shel shneim esamana. In the morning, he would dress wearing pelusin. That was 12 mana. Now, the Mishnah is something very funny. A mana is 100 zuz. A mana is 100 zuz. So shneim asa times 12 would be 1,200 zuz. That would be 1,200 zuz. And pelusin seems to be a place in Egypt. So it was linen, Egyptian linen. I think Egyptian cotton or Egyptian linen. One of these very expensive. Cotton, right?
Cotton.
Okay, so it was the Pelusin seems to be a place in Egypt, and the linen was of high quality, and it was 12 mana. Beiner Abayim Hinduyan. That's from Hindu. It could be Ethiopia. Rashi says Kush, or it could be Hindu. It could be where they landed the Hindus. It's India, and that was Shel Shmoina Meyasuz. That was. It doesn't say 8 mana. It says 800 zuz. Taisus in this kasha. Why all of a sudden you're switching denominations, right? First you speak about mana, and then you speak about zuz. Be consistent. It's a Taisus. Taisus on the Amid Aleph. Okay, Taisus is wondering why they switched. He doesn't give a teretz. Next, that was in the Zudiv Rameh. These are words of Rameh. So you're going from what? You're going from a 1,200 to 800. So the afternoon is worth less than the morning. Pashit, why, guys? What was the morning avodah in linen was the avodah Yom Kippur. That was the par, that was the seir, that was the ketairis, that was the spritzing. That was the only afternoon. The only thing he did was to go in and take out the kaf and the machta. That doesn't seem to be such a chashav avodah. We said, we spoke out on Friday for those people who listened. Again, it was we might really be tzadikim. In other words, so it was very, it's an avodah, but certainly not as chashav as the first one. So he doesn't require as chashav of clothing as the first one. He doesn't the same chashivas. Okay. Not 1,200, but shnei asa mana 1,800. Ubein abayim shel shnei asa mana, and bein abayim would be 12, a total of 30 or 3,000. Akol shloishim mana, everything 30 mana, 30 times 100 would be 3,000 mana. And Elu Mishal Tzibur, that's the amount that the Tzibur would pay. And again, it's not dafka that amount. You can play. It doesn't have to be 1812. It could be 1713. It could be whatever denomination, as long as the morning was worth more, and as long as it wasn't less than 30 mana or 3,000 zuz. For Matzah Lahaisif, Maisa Mishla, if he wants it more expensive than what, he would add on from his own. Okay, so that's today's daf. Okay.